The NFL offseason. This is a time when free agency and trades are taking place. GMs make moves, losing players that teams long love and gaining some other ones to make Super Bowl pushes. And fan text chats go crazy, wondering if their GM has gone senile. However, as an NFL fan, this can be a confusing time because terms are just thrown out without actual knowledge of what they mean. So I'm making it my job to break down the three most confusing terms thrown about by the media this offseason. Number 3, the franchise tag. So basically everyone on the NFL 53-man roster is under contract heading into the season, with rookies normally getting 4-year deals once they are drafted. A lot of players re-sign before the final year of their contract, and some even sign in the offseason right before their contract is on its last year prior to the regular season. However, if that contract is on the last year and if they don't have a new deal by the start of the new league season, they become a free agent. What this means is that they can sign with any team in the NFL. However, right before some players enter free agency, that's when the fun really begins. A game of tag with Jerry Jones and George Pickens. Pickens: "Hey Jerry, my contract is up and I'd like a long-term deal." Jerry: Pickens, you know we don't sign contracts until the day before the regular season to drive up publicity, but I'd be more likely to sign a contract and not be a malcontent." Yeah, but you can't buy publicity. I'll play it up in the media and call you undependable in July. You know, normal shit.
It's very simple. Dak was indispensable in my mind. And so, yes. And Michael wasn't.
I think I'd rather test for agency then, because I tend to get a little angry. Tag, you're it. Yes, pretty much how it goes down. And at that point, you are franchise tagged, meaning that you actually can't hit free agency and are kept on the team with a 1-year contract. Now, this 1-year contract is average with the 5 players making the most at your position, which is pretty cool for a year. However, players generally hate it because the average NFL career is 3.3 to 3.5 years, and they would rather a longer contract with guaranteed money. Also, because if you play on the tag for the whole season, tag, you're it. You can be tagged the following year at the same exact price. Of course, averaging out the top 5 at the position. The good thing is, the third time that a player is tagged, it is finally double the average price of those top 5 players. Or, for an NFL player, they can finally tag back. Number 2, dead cap. The offseason structure as we know it with salary caps and free agency started in 1993. Players wanted free agency, allowing them to switch teams without needing trades and allowing them real negotiating power in contracts to get more moolah. Owners relented to this, but wanted caps on the money that would be spent, seeing how unchecked contracts could change the sport like it did with baseball. So when NFL players now get contracts, they are formed with 3 components: the salary per year, the signing bonus, and guaranteed money. Keep in mind that guaranteed money and the salary both go against the salary cap. This guaranteed money can be slated either for the first year of the contract or future years going forward. However, as time has gone on, quarterbacks started to push for more guaranteed money. I mean, basically because of the harsh physical demands of the sport. You know, you're out there killing people. And owners, because quarterbacks were the only ones who had any power, started to give in. This led to some wild things like Kirk Cousins getting fully guaranteed contracts twice over his career.
You like that? You like that?
And because of these high contracts, teams didn't want to foot like $100 million deal off the bat with a signing bonus. But they still wanted to release or trade some of these players who they gave a lot of future guaranteed money to. And such, the dead cap was born.
Of course, Broncos country. Let's ride.
Dead cap just means that teams have to pay players their guarantees whether they're on the roster or not. With contracts rising, the salary cap going up, and the league making more and more moolah, dead cap is specifically astounding. The biggest example to date is Tua Tagovailoa, who the Dolphins released this offseason just 2 years after giving him a 4-year, $212 million contract. Due to the money that they guaranteed Tua, the Dolphins still owe him $54 million in 2026 and $43 million in 2027. And that money also goes against their salary cap. So not only do they have to pay him, but they also lose that money to sign other potential free agents and players. Another stunning example of this and how this can hold a team hostage is that the Cleveland Browns can't release the infamous Deshaun Watson because they fully guaranteed his contract when they traded for him. Because of this, just releasing Watson would ultimately cost the Browns $130 million in dead cap money. Number 1, compensatory picks. Because of the structure of the salary cap, it's the nature of the NFL that teams will lose some free agents each season. Not because teams don't want to keep these players or because they aren't really good at their position, but simply because they don't have the allotted funds to retain these guys. To counteract how a team loses players in free agency, some of these teams are given picks in the upcoming NFL draft as compensation. And thus, compensatory picks were born. These are calculated when the NFL looks at the 32 highest free agent contracts of players that switch teams. So as they're counting up their money, whichever team that the player was originally with receives that compensatory pick. This pick isn't from the other team that signs the free agent, but instead it is added after the 32nd pick of the round. And important note, compensatory picks are only added from rounds 3 to 7. So, for instance, when the Packers lost backup quarterback Malik Willis to the Dolphins in free agency, they also gained a compensatory pick at the end of the 4th round. Keep in mind that it is used as the 33rd or 34th or longer pick of that round and isn't from the first 32 teams selecting. To me, the wackiest part is that the scale is descending from the highest contracts given in free agency to the lowest for the top 32 contracts. So for instance, if you lost a player and they're player 33, you do not get a compensatory pick. So because Jalen Phillips made the most money this free agency, the Eagles will receive the highest eligible compensatory pick, which is a 3rd rounder. This is important to note because the Eagles actually traded a 3rd rounder for Phillips just 5 months earlier at the trade deadline.
That's why he's the GOAT! The GOAT!
Why not just trade Hendrickson? I'm sure while under contract, even with just 1 year remaining, Hendrickson could have gotten at least a 2nd rounder. However, if you wanted to give superstar quarterback Joe Burrow one more year with the Bengals' best defender, and you can't or won't pay him, a third rounder is actually solid compensation. My mind personally couldn't help but drift and think about Alec Pierce, who stunned everyone this free agency, receiving the highest amount ever given to a free agent wide receiver, getting doled out $112 million by the Colts. But there were reports that other teams weren't just interested in Pierce, but that they were offering him more money than that. Which I like Pierce, really good player. That's kind of bonkers. But that does mean that if Pierce were to leave, the Colts not only would have kept that money and wide receiver Michael Pittman, but they also would have added a third round compensatory pick in the process.